Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Ethan.
And I'm Rick.
And this is Roster United.
We're back, baby!
We are back. How excited are you right now?
We are excited. This is awesome. We know we needed to come back. We want to get back in the podcast. And you know what? We just needed something to jazz us up and get us started again. And there's really two things happening in the next few weeks.
Yes.
One happening now and one coming up.
Yes, very excited and for sure. And just like you said, a couple of things coming up. It's going to be very exciting. So let's get right into it. In today's episode, we have something very exciting happening over at GameFound. No, there's not another update on when Marvel Multiverse comes out. Instead, it's a whole nother different thing. We're talking about DC Heroes United.
DC Superheroes United.
Oh, wow. Super
Heroes.
You think
United.
It's plain?
And you
no,
know what that
super!
Means? You know what that means?
What?
This is a Pennyworth post with your hosts, Ethan and Master Rick.
Oh,
as in Alfred's Pennyworth, because we're doing daily updates on the Kickstarter campaign that's actually on GameFound now.
It's on right now. It's been released how many days now? Just two?
I think we're in the, second day. Second day. Today was a full day. You want me to read the stats?
Yes, please.
As of this second, which is 11/11 Eastern Time, July 12th, we are at $739,433. Exactly.
Show me the money.
Yep, show me the money, and that's with 6,569 backers.
Amazing.
So as Ethan mentioned, this is DC Superheroes United. For most of you probably listening to us, you may be familiar with Marvel United. That was the previous trilogy of Kickstarter campaigns that Simon did. And that was based around the different Marvels. So you had Marvel United, we had Marvel X-Men United, and then we had Marvel United Multiverse Edition, which we're still waiting for in the mail right now. We went all in. Should be here
in a couple of
August.
weeks.
I think in August is when we're looking at it. But, getting us jazzed up, and that was kind of one of the things that's got us ready to do this podcast again is DC. Finally, the DC universe is going to get the United system.
Yeah, and that's been something that I always had the idea and the intention of doing if I was ever a designer. That especially for this kind of game. As all of you might know, I love this game. I can't stop talking about it. I mean, the whole podcast is centered on this, and having different IPs really expands the game a whole lot more, obviously. And not just with character-wise and having more villains, but overall gameplay and things like that. So, without further ado, let's see some of the new features and some of the new heroes and villains that will be coming into this game. Let's start off first with the core box. The core box, my goodness. First off, the art looks amazing. Out of any of the other core boxes I've seen, I think this one wins. I don't know about you. I mean,
it's pretty awesome.
The core box is amazing.
I mean, Marvel's probably the more popular IP right now, but you could argue that DC has some of the more singular, iconic characters.
Absolutely.
I mean, Superman.
Yes.
I mean, do you get more iconic comic book than Superman? And then the world's greatest detective, Batman, and you just kind of got him overlooking with Superman flying in the background. It's pretty impressive, the art on this cover.
It really is. And in this core box, which we're going to be talking about right here, is, well, let's start off with some of the heroes, right? I mean, let's just dig right into it. Who are you going to play as? Who is going to be in your team of 1, 2, 3, or even 4 bands of heroes? Well, you have, of course, none other than Superman to start off with. Superman, obviously, being the toughest character, probably ever, of any superhero out there. Just strong, unbeatable, really. I mean, even when he died, he still came back and teared everybody else up. He is amazing. Obviously, I expect him to be one of the strongest heroes there is here.
Yeah, I mean, In fact, one of the cards they kind of show in the Kickstarter or campaign, or I got to get off that Kickstarter because it's on GameFound. It's on GameFound. It's on GameFound. If you're looking for it on Kickstarter, you're not going to find it. CMON, about a couple months back, announced that they have a special relationship with GameFound. GameFound was formed by an actual board game company. They made their own campaign. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track here. But if you're not familiar with them, go out to GameFound. They got a lot of games out there, but that's where you're going to find all CMON games moving forward. But talking about Superman, I mean, one of his cards, the one card you can see clearly, is called Invulnerability. It's the special power, and it says you may ignore 1 damage during each villain turn. If you do, you may punch in your location. So you get that card early in the game, face up, and you're ignoring 1 damage the entire turn. I mean,
yeah.
I think they're trying to make Superman be super.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else you can really say about that. But did you Pun intended. Did you see also, if you notice on the card, usually the text is always, the back color of the text is white. But in Superman, invulnerability and the entire text is obviously in black letters, but the background is green with a little card that is yellow and a little timer on it, it looks like. It might be something due to maybe some of the kryptonite, which of course, for those of you who may not know, it'll be weird if you didn't know, but kryptonite is Superman's weakness. It makes him weak and, not so strong. Very straightforward. It makes him weak. So it's his weakness.
Let me get that clear. His weakness makes him weak? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay,
yes,
very good.
That's what we're going with.
Okay, all right.
So it looks interesting, so I wonder if that'll play a factor with Superman, but only time will tell.
And just real quick on that a little bit, if you go back on the GameFound's website, they've actually been doing updates prior to the Kickstarter campaign going off, and they've did a couple of dev diaries. So it's kind of interesting. I believe when that he mentioned in there the designer, who I know you've communicated with on Board Game Geek a couple times, said that really when he started to lay out the game, he had DC characters in mind.
Yes.
When he originally was going to do this game, he was thinking of how to design Batman. Batman was really his favorite character. So it's kind of funny that the Marvel United that a lot of us love and play a lot. And is it the deepest game? No, but it's just got variety. It's just fun. You can play it with anybody and have a good time. Really, that was, the Marvel United was going to be based off of DC. The goal with Superman was to make him, of course, super strong, leverage his powers, but lean into that kryptonite for sure.
Absolutely.
Because the weakness makes him weak.
Yes. That should be on a shirt, or that should be painted on the wall. Every time you get up from bed, you look at the ceiling and you just see weakness makes you weak.
Yes,
I like that. All right.
That.
Well, speaking about Batman, right? Because again, the designer, I do remember that he did want to make the game with the equipment cards. When the equipment cards were first starting, it wasn't just the first character in the multiverse that he was thinking about, or in the second, set or whatever. He was thinking about. The third set, he was thinking about Batman as well, which I thought was brilliant. And now that he has the IP and he's already done it, let's talk about Batman, the second hero in the core set. Batman has 6 equipment cards, okay? I've only seen one character right now, Penny Parker, from the Spider-Geddon core box that has 3 equipment cards. And obviously her character is really fun, but Batman has 6. That isn't crazy. And of course, just by looking at, they don't have them all listed here, but just a couple of them. They have the grappling hook. They have the batarang. It looks like they have Batman's cape and some other things I can't really tell because it's cut off. But again, all equipment cards. And the designer wants you to use these equipment cards because without them, he's not Batman. Right? I mean, Batman needs his equipment cards. So it's going to be really fun to try to use them all, but use them in a way where it can help you the most. But from what I read and how I interpreted the dev diary thing, was that you want to use the equipment card. So I wonder if using the equipment cards are going to be stronger than the cards themselves on purpose, but of course can be run out very quickly because you need them, obviously. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Batman's about gadgets. So you can't have a Batman without the gadgets. So obviously we're going to do some deeper dives in some of the individual characters as we get a little bit more info on them. But yeah, you got to have Batman. You can't have a DC game without Batman, and you can't have Batman without the gadgets. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Absolutely. So Batman, obviously, just so you all know out there as well, he's probably my favorite superhero. I personally feel like Batman is just, he doesn't have superpowers per se. He's the most, what you could say, realistic superhero that one could have. Awesome. Detective, great as well. I love it all.
Genius detective who can fly jets, ride motorcycles, and is a billionaire.
Yes.
Completely realistic.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
And also a spray that can repel sharks. I mean, you got it all, Batman. You got it all, Batman. It's amazing. Well, of course, we have Superman, Batman. Our third hero on the list is Wonder Woman. Of course, being incredibly popular. Everybody likes Wonder Woman, right? I mean, come on. Wonder Woman obviously being one of the strongest female characters in the entire DC universe. She is amazing and incredible. I think everybody really likes this character, especially the movies, right? I mean, those movies are probably the best DC movies we've had in a while. But anyway, she has a couple of equipment cards. She has the Bracelets of Submission. She has, of course, her trusty Lasso of Truth. And lastly, but not least, the Invisible Jet, which I don't know. I mean, if you forgot your keys, I'm just wondering, how are you going to find this jet? That's all I'm saying.
Around until you run into it. That's all.
That's probably right. And of course, since some of the cards are being blocked, sadly, we cannot read it. But from what I can paraphrase, it seems like it has to do something with her bracelets, probably her own abilities on the cards activate those equipment cards when necessary, providing her to give more use of her equipment cards, which I think is going to be pretty amazing. Because obviously without her lasso, right, she's not really Wonder Woman. You see, the characters need these things. They need them. That's what makes them significant than others, And obviously having the lasso, Batman's gadgets, Superman's cape, those are all things you just need. So Wonder Woman obviously being up there, really excited about her. What do you think?
Yeah, she's going to be pretty cool. And again, it's just laying into the gadgets. And that's something probably to mention is what's kind of cool about this set, if you haven't gotten into the United, the Marvel United sets, and maybe just because, Marvel's not your thing, but DC, you've been hoping they would do a DC set. You're kind of getting all the things they've learned and added to the Marvel United. Mm-hmm. You're getting it in this core set. I mean, that first Marvel United set, and they've added stuff since then.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It's great.
Very fun.
But it's, there's a ton of heroes in it, but the variety is different.
Yeah.
The variety is very simple.
Mm-hmm.
In this set, you're getting, the equipment cards. The other thing they're bringing in is the commander.
Yeah.
The commander. So if you want to play a single hero, where you can throw in the other heroes as cards. Mm-hmm. So you can have, if you're playing as Batman by yourself against the game, you don't want to control two heroes. You're going to have a Superman card that you can play that's going to support you. Mm-hmm. All those things are cool. And yeah, Wonder Woman is pretty cool. Her bracelet submission, right, says you can use on a villain turn, ignore 1 damage dealt.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. But then you got to turn it face down.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. The next hero that I kind of wanted to talk about is, of course, the Flash, right? They're getting the core of the Justice League here. Mm-hmm. The Flash, he's got his ring that he always wears. It says use on your draw card step. Instead of drawing the top card of your deck, you can search for a Speed Force Conduit card and draw it instead. And that Speed Force Conduit card is going to give you basically a move token for every other Speed Force Conduit card in your storyline, and then you can perform a heroic and a punch in each location that you enter.
For free.
So imagine, it comes with a movement. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have 2 of these Speed Force Conduits already in your storyline, you throw a third one down, mm-hmm. and you're moving to 4 locations and doing a punch and a heroic in each location.
And
That's sick.
That is amazing. And what I really love about what they're doing here with the Flash, personally, is because those move characters, for me, in the past, I've never really liked them. They've always done too much movements.
They limited enough other stuff. Yeah.
But now here, using, obviously, the Flash with the Speed Force, making him go as fast as ever. Every time you play this, I assume there's probably 3 or 4 of these cards in his deck that is made out of 12 total. I assume there's probably 4 in them. And every time you're playing that, not only are you just performing those free actions on every location you enter, but you're also gaining that one move token that can let you move in the future if you play that card later on. So you can save those and have a turn where you're just going back and forth on 2 locations, taking everything out.
You could just be running around the whole circle of the board. It's going to be just sick.
It's amazing. Sick. And again, move characters, don't like them a whole lot. Very anxious to try him, though. I really am. This guy really looks really fun.
Yeah, then the next one we've got here is Cyborg. Many of you know him. He's the teenage superstar football player has an accident, basically, and becomes Cyborg. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying it. He's not a character I've, outside of reading some of the comics when I was young and some of the poor movies we've had lately. He's going to be in there. The one card they show us called Boom Tubes. Move to any location. You may bring another hero in your location with you. So
that's cool.
Dramatic that way. And of course, to round out the core box superheroes, we have, of course, Arthur, the Aquaman. So he's going to be inside of here. His equipment, of course, you know what it's got to be. His equipment card they show, the Trident of Poseidon. And again, it lets you draw some cards or do some head knocking. They show one of his the cards in your hand. Life Force Connection. The art on that's beautiful. Shows a bunch of sharks and killer whales behind him. That shows the kind of the glowing thing coming off his forehead. And basically, you choose another location on your turn, and you may use your heroic and punch actions there without even moving. So
that's amazing.
You can do them from across the board. Should we move on to some bad guys?
Of course we shall. Okay. Of course, you can never have a hero without a villain. DC probably being one of its most spot on, put them out there, you're gonna notice them kind of villains, right? They're probably the most famous villains you'll ever see and know.
They have to be.
They probably
the most famous villains. I mean, now the Marvel villains, Thanos. Some of those guys are.
But that's because of the movies.
Yeah, exactly. If you'd have talked to a lot of just folks that weren't into comic books and such, they wouldn't know about Thanos and Ultron and that. They do now. And Marvel's done the fantastic job with their cinematic universe. But, the villains, at least 2 of these villains in this box, I would say you could get most people on the street and they would know who these guys are. And correct me if I'm wrong, even you know better than I do. But in this box, there's 4 villains in the base box.
Yes.
Isn't that the most we've ever gotten in a base box? Aren't they usually just 3?
Yes. I believe compared to the first one, yes, and I believe the second one as well. But the second and third core sets have the anti-hero. But straight up villains just red? Yes, this is the biggest.
Anti-heroes are... And in the Marvel United games, in case you haven't played before, heroes are blue, villains are red, before you paint them if you choose to. And there's anti-heroes who you can play as a hero or a villain. They're purple colored, which you would expect. So in this box, we've got 4 villains, starting with the iconic Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker. You can't have a core box without the Joker, in my opinion.
Of course not.
Again, not a ton of stuff here. I do know from watching some videos, things that the Joker will flip cards over in your storyline. So, a lot of these cards, like the Flash's cards and Batman's are, hey, if you have this card face up in your storyline, you're getting more power.
Yeah.
The Joker's flipping those over. He doesn't, also, an interesting thing, he doesn't start the game on the board.
Yes.
So when you do your setup, in United, of course, for those familiar, you have your locations, you're bouncing around, and we'll maybe do an episode to kind of bring people in, but of course read it. but you're bouncing around. You're either knocking out villains or you're saving innocents.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those tokens, when you flip it over, has a Joker face on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to go around the board trying to find him before he even shows up.
Yes.
And of course, he's got a henchwoman. All these characters do. The one they're showing us is Harley Quinn. So I'm sure she'll have a standalone character at some point. But yeah, she's the first villain that we've got. Or Joker's the first villain.
The Joker. Yeah, very cool. And of course, obviously every villain is played differently. And from some of the playthroughs that we've seen, which you can all see as well, if you'd like, on YouTube, the gameplay for the Joker, very interesting stuff. Changes a lot. Really cool. Really excited for it. So I'm definitely going to be playing against him quite a bit. We both are. I mean, really, he's amazing. Next, we have another big baddie. Superman's main big baddie, I guess you could say. Right?
One of his toughest big baddies.
Not the main.
His most famous.
Not the main.
Baddie. It might be.
But one of his toughest.
As the comics have gone on, he's somebody who's equal to Superman in some ways in power.
This is Darkseid.
Darkseid. Yeah. He's going to be interesting to see. They cover a lot of his stuff up, and it's tough to see what he's going to do. But we know he's tough. And he's one that kind of go blow to blow with Superman, who's a Kryptonian.
I'm not gonna lie to you. We can't see the villainous plot, but just by looking at this flip the threat card on his, what are those called? On the location, there's a card there. I forgot the name.
Yeah,
it just escaped under my
block
tongue.
The benefit you get from each location. So each location at the bottom has an end of turn benefit, but a lot of them start with a card.
From the villain.
From the villain on top of it. It's either a henchman or some kind of power. So, of course, Darkseid has the anti-life equation. So you've got to find the life equation to kind of counter it. So you're going to be going around trying to clean those things up using a bunch of heroics to do that.
And it looks like, just by the looks of it, again, flip this threat card. I wonder if you have to either complete the threat cards as fast as you can or somehow move them or get rid of them before Darkseid flips them. I wonder if that's going to be the villainous plot. Who knows? It's not to date. It just looked like it. Something that could happen. But his miniature looks great. His cars look great. I don't know. I'm very excited to try him out. He'll probably be pretty tough, I assume.
Yeah, I like his miniature. I like Joker's miniature. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very nice.
Next villain we got is the Cheetah. They're throwing Wonder Woman a bone here. I'd say as far as powerful goes, as far as I know, she's not one of the most powerful characters in the world, but I'm sure they're going to have a pretty cool design for her. And it's somebody that matches up with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
We do see one of her cards that she'll use at the beginning of the game to cover locations. Heroes starting their turn at her location must ignore one action symbol at the bottom of their card. That's vicious.
Yes.
That's pretty tough. So you've got to... she's got at least two of those I can see here, which is really going to narrow the board and what you can do and where you can go.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. Just before we go on to the next one, just remember as well that the core box is also, of course, for us, maybe different features or new features that come in the game, but for a lot, it's going to be also the starting box that you'll play with. So obviously, a lot of these characters will not only be iconic and fun and different and entertaining, but they'll also be for newcomers into the board game hobby or just into the Marvel United gaming as well, just so you know. So Cheetah might be one of those characters you play to set up somebody and then kind of play into some of the different styles of the other villains got. Again, we have 3 villains, but there's a record, right? 4. So we haven't mentioned him yet. Probably, other than the Joker, the most famous villain we have here on the box, I would say.
Top one.
Right?
Yeah, in the box for sure.
In this box especially. We have here a Mr. Lex Luthor, obviously being probably the iconic villain of Superman. Definitely the most known villain of Superman. Very excited, obviously incredibly smart, and incredibly painful. I assume he'll have some sort of kryptonite or something like that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, if they have that you could tell though that they're really playing into, and we'll get into when we get into some of the extras that they give you for the campaign. they're playing into this Legion of Doom. So when I was a kid, you had the Super Friends cartoon that had the Hall of Justice, which was basically the Justice League and all those characters. Then you had the Legion of Doom, and the leader was Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor, and we'll get into, again, some of these more in depth, but Lex Luthor has some stuff that lets you change the master plan a little bit, because that's what he does. He's always scheming. But what's cool is his henchmen that he's using to cover locations are all from the Legion of Doom. Yes. So you've got Sinestro, which is kind of the enemy of Green Lantern in that cartoon. You've got the Joker, who's obviously Batman's. You got Gorilla Grodd, who's one of the enemies of the Flash. Mm-hmm. So they're just the henchmen that Lex Luthor's leading. And he's got his kind of power suit on that he's wearing as well. So it's pretty awesome. But he goes through his deck fast. His deck can pull out extra cards so that the master plan is finishing quicker. Yes. Because he's Lex Luthor and he's brilliant. So I just can't wait to see it.
Really cool.
Should I run down the rest of the box real quick?
Yeah,
before we get into it. So, of course, you come with 10 locations, famous locations like Smallville, Central City, the Watchtower, Metropolis, Gotham City are some of the ones that we've seen. Comes with the villain dashboard and all the stuff you need to set up. It's coming with generic equipment cards this time, which again is something that's come in later editions of the Marvel United. You're also getting the 12 superhero and supervillain cards. Normally you play the game against the game. So you're playing with your buddies. You each have a hero, and the game is randomly flipping cards over, and you're trying to beat the game. You can play it where one of your buddies is the villain. Mm-hmm. In order to balance that a little bit, they have these superhero and supervillain cards, and then it comes with 155 tokens in the rule book, of course. Another thing you're getting with this Kickstarter campaign for free that they just included off the top without any stretch goals yet is they are adding a couple of characters in here. So you have the Wonder Twins, Zan and Jaina. And their pose is awesome because if you remember the cartoon and stuff, they would touch. That's for me. That's what I remember. They touch the rings. So they have them set up in a way that you can place them next to each other, and they're touching the rings. And then they got Gleek, that crazy monkey guy that's with them as well. And then they threw in Power Girl. She's another Kickstarter exclusive Kryptonian hero that we'll have. That's very powerful in the comics as well. Beyond that, we have they announced an expansion immediately with it, and then
very exciting.
Today they announced another expansion, which is pretty exciting. So, do you want to get into the first expansion that we have? Right now, just to be clear, there's 2 tiers you can back at. If this follows normal CMON practice here, there'll be more tiers and eventually an all-in tier at the end. But you have the Super Friends tier. That gives you the base box and all the stretch goals. And then you have the other tier, the Titans tier. And if that's not a clue what that gives you, what is that going to be?
You're going to get everything.
What are you getting in the Titans pledge? What's that first expansion?
Well, because the first expansion is not only amazing, but it's also a remembrance as well of my childhood, because I also remember a show as well out there called The Teen Titans Go. And of course, the Titans bundle is going to have the Teen Titans, obviously. The Teen Titans are very, very fun group of characters of not misfits, but just fun little characters there. Teen Titans Go is a show I used to watch on Cartoon Network, and thanks to that show, I love it. Obviously, the band is completed by Robin, Dick Grayson, as well as Raven, Starfire, and of course, a fan favorite, Beast Boy, who can change into different animals. Very fun. At least in the show, it was very comedic. I don't know how serious actually the comic books were. Maybe they were very serious. I don't know that side. Anyway, very fun group of characters. Obviously, Robin having and I appreciate this too, the very short shorts. This is like 60 shorts. These are up there, man. These are right up there. Yeah, I don't know how you can do crime fighting in those things. But anyway, very fun. Obviously, Robin has his 2 equipment cards. His Eskrima, how do you pronounce that? Eskrima sticks? Is that right?
Yeah.
Eskrima sticks?
I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Ugh, okay. And also the Battering, obviously, doing their own thing there. Gonna be really fun. Raven, of course, being amazing and very powerful, using majestic abilities as well, and things like that. She has here on the card one of her abilities. It says here, deal 2 damage, split as you like in your or adjacent location. So it has some good range on there, too. Starfire, obviously, being a very curious person in the show. Obviously, using her telepathic immunity, which says here, at the beginning of any of your turns, flip this card to ignore any effect that would make you play your hero card randomly or face down that turn. So, again, just giving you more opportunities, more things. Very fun. I really do like it. And of course, Beast Boy, which has his own Beast Boy Animal Form card, which I assume you'll play cards on top of it to change the animal within you. You can change into what looks like a dragon, a bear, a mouse, and a bull. I assume. You can kind of tell, you can't read it, but I assume these will give you different abilities, and probably a different way of playing the character as well throughout the game. So I'm really excited about that. We also have 2 villains. One I'm really stoked about, called Deathstroke. Love that guy. That guy's very funny. Actually,
Stroked about?
Stroked about. I'm stroked about Deathstroke.
Stroked about Deathstroke.
I thought this guy actually was DC's Deadpool just because of his mask. That's all I thought about, actually, when I was younger. Because, I mean, look, he has the 2 swords, right? I mean, come on.
True,
That's crazy.
True.
And then we have this 14-centimeter thing called Trigon, one of the bigger main villains of the box as well.
Yeah, that's just Raven's father, so.
Raven's father there.
Very good.
We have, of course, other components as well, 4 more locations. The Titan's Tower, of course, you have to have that. Jump City High School, Jump City Juvenile Correction Facility, and something else that I can't see. Of course, with their own special things down there. Let's continue now with the second expansion that came out today.
Yes, the second expansion that came out today is one that's a little near and dear to my heart just because of who some of the characters are in it. When I was growing up, I read some comics, didn't have a chance to get to buy a lot of comics, but one story I just went all the way through was the Death of Superman comics. So there was Death of Superman, Funeral for a Friend, and then there were all these superheroes that came out afterwards. You didn't know who was the real Superman. And of course you had that whole storyline. So the newest expansion that came out today was Metropolis expansion, and it comes with 3 heroes, 2 villains, and if you're getting in part of the Kickstarter, there's an extra hero and 2 characters that are new, as far as I know, to the United system, support characters.
Yes.
These are gray characters who act on their own throughout the game and try to help you out. But without further ado, we'll get through the 3 characters, heroes first. First, you have Supergirl, who they describe here as a lot like Superman, of course. She's a little less offensive and a little bit more heroic. And she has heat vision as well, but she can split it across locations. She has super breath that she can use to either rescue civilians or blow thugs away from the location. So she can also take a ton of damage. So she can fly around and be heroic.
Oh, that's neat.
Then you got good old John Henry Irons, who became Steel in the DC universe there. A man who wanted to basically, he was a weapons designer, build a exoskeleton out of steel that lets him have strength. He has a hammer, and he's pretty stinking awesome, and he kind of did as a tribute to Superman after he died. He's in the game as well, and you'll get to use his hammer, which is one of the more powerful weapons in all of DC. And then, of course, they had to throw in Superman's dog, Krypto. Mm-hmm. Yes, Krypto is a hero. I don't know what's going on in his pose. They obviously had to do something to make it like he's flying. It's like he's sitting on top of an ice thing coming out of the Fortress of Solitude. I'm not sure there, Simon, what's going on. But
all
anyway.
standees are still in beta.
They got a chance to maybe deal with that one a little bit. I'm playing it around a little bit. Then we get to the villains, and I just want to see how they do this villain.
Yes.
He's not smart. They absolutely ruined him in the movies. In the Batman versus Superman movie. But in here, I'm hoping he's just amazing. And they use the right words. It's Doomsday. In the comics, this is the man. This is the beast that was developed on Krypton, who somehow made it to Earth and was experimented on, who killed Superman. Mm-hmm. That's how strong he was. And it's just amazing to see him in the game already.
That's awesome.
I'm just jacked to see what it does. His special rule, so every villain has a special rule. His special rule, Doomsday can't be damaged. After completing 2 missions, heroes can move one or more of their crisis tokens to Doomsday's dashboard by spending heroics on this location. Rescued civvies can be placed in other rescued civilians. Heroes starting their turn with a token must forfeit 1 action. And if you bam, KO does a bam. If you bam, you discard all civilians, deal 2 damage, and then move to... I can't read it all, but it's stinking just... He looks so cool.
He does.
So cool. And then another one who... The rumors are the new Superman, this could be the villain. And spoiler alert, I guess, you might want to skip ahead for a while. Is the last one is Vildrax, better known as Brainiac. So again, Brainiac, super computer, smart scientist. He does a whole bunch of stuff from another dimension. And his plans are so amazing because he's super smart, of course. He's named Brainiac for crying out loud. Again, hero attacks against him, it says, are futile. He can only be damaged using heroics. He starts the game already under pressure, so he's doing he's doing a card after every 2 hero plays.
That's cool.
I mean, that's just sinister.
That's
so this adds a couple of locations: Daily Planet, LexCorp, Stryker's Island Penitentiary, Brainiac's Asteroid, the Fortress of Solitude, and Star Labs. You also get a Kryptonite Shards Challenge, which we'll get into in a future episode. Then I'll mention some of the other things that are added to this set. You get Superboy, who again, I think there's been various versions of him, but the one that looks like here looks like the one from the one that I saw back when Superman was... he was basically a clone of Superman the day that Superman was died. They made a clone of Superman. And that's where Superboy came from. So, pretty cool. That's and nice. Looking forward to that. And then you got the 2 support characters. Lois Lane, probably the most famous support character in all of DC. And Jimmy Olsen.
There you go.
And these support characters do their own thing. They have their own card. They have special setups. And just depending on what's going on around them, they do stuff. And we'll get into them a little bit deeper as we go along here. Should we probably jump to what stretch goals have been unlocked, even if we want to cover them at a later episode?
No, absolutely. Obviously, we will... it probably in a future episode, we'll probably go a little bit more in depth with the actual pledges. But since we were just a tad late, there is a lot to talk about, and we want you all to, get catched up with what the campaign has to offer. And of course, you can take your time and read through it if you'd like.
If you want, we can just read through these just to give the folks an idea of what's already been unlocked.
Yeah,
and this
absolutely.
Is, again, we're about a half hour in, so this is the latest and greatest as of late for us, July 12th. The first 3 were part of the initial launch. That was the Wonder Twins and Gleek. Then we had Wildcat, Black Mask, another challenge that will be added to the game, Complications Challenge, what it's called, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold. Then we had Black Manta, then Mira, which is Aquaman's wife, Parasite, the Red Tornado, more superhero and supervillain cards, Gorilla Grodd himself as a character, not just a henchman for Lex Luthor, Black Lightning, Despero, Martian Manhunter is going to make it. He's pretty cool. I read a little bit about him. We'll get into him. Good old Steppenwolf as a villain, Vixen, and the one we're waiting to unlock right now, is one of my favorite from the comics is Ra's al Ghul. That's what's out there now. So
that's awesome.
You can see we're just scratching the surface on DC. Ethan, I wanted to ask you real quick, as before we kind of wrap up here a little bit. Just give me 3 characters off the top of your head that haven't been unlocked yet that you just want to see in the game.
You put me on the spot there.
I did. We haven't seen hardly any of the Bat villains yet.
That's right.
There's still some heroes out there. A lot of heroes, of course.
Probably at least 2 of them have to be villains, I think. Because a lot of the heroes... look, I know a lot of the Marvel's heroes just because of the movies, right? And they've been here a while. But a lot of the DC stuff, obviously, I haven't read all of the, comic books and things like that. But, so a lot of the heroes are already out there. But I think villains like Scarecrow... I think Bane would be amazing.
Bane would be awesome.
Bane would be amazing.
Comic book Bane, not movie Bane.
Yes, comic book Bane.
Scarecrow, Bane, who's your last one?
Yeah, probably Penguin, I would say.
Okay,
Penguin.
All right. So all Batman villains.
Or
that's 3. That's 3.
Yeah.
You're not gonna leave me anything left.
That's right.
I'm just kidding. Who else?
No, probably is because I was just thinking about it.
I'll give you a 4th one. This is a 4th one. I get 4.
Red Hood. Is it Red Hood?
Okay.
Or no, it's not Red Hood. No, that's Marvel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. No, there's the it's the Batman. It's one of Batman's. I don't know if it's one of his stepsons. He has like a red mask and he has like a jacket instead of he has 2 pistols, guns. I don't know what he's called. What's this?
I'm drawing a blank. I think I know what you're talking about. But those are your ones.
Yeah, that guy, I just really liked his style. Okay. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm really interested to see the Riddler, just because I want to see the mechanics. And a lot of mine aren't just favorite characters. It's just like the mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see the Riddler for sure. I want to see how they work him into the game. I want to see... I think it would be cool. Bane was going to be one of mine for sure, so I'll pick a couple of different ones as well. I would like to see the Green Lantern. Of course, Green Lantern's coming. I think Green Lantern could be amazing character. And maybe some of the, it's like you said, some of it's just like the style and stuff. Reverse Flash, Captain Cold, those could be some cool ones to see. And there's big names. I'm trying to pick some of the ones, we don't always know. Azrael, who took over for Bruce Wayne as Batman for a while, could be a cool character to throw in there. So, anyway, there's still a lot to go. One thing I didn't mention, and apologies if you're hearing this now, it's probably too late to get it as part of the original pledge. But they are doing a metal Two-Face coin as well, just a collector item. I don't know if it'll be part of the game somehow or not. But one side's just normal coin, the other side's kind of scratched. So Two-Face obviously is going to be a part of the game.
That would be really neat. Of
Batman's
course.
got cool villains.
He really does. And actually, back to the point, it was Red Hood. That's his actual name.
Red Hood,
that's his actual name.
Not the Hood.
Not the Hood.
Hood is from
the
Marvel.
Hood is from Marvel.
Yeah.
Red Hood is
That's
the
where it
actual
gets
guy.
confusing.
That's right.
Maybe we'll get a T-Rex from the Batcave. The Batcave had that T-Rex.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe we'll
the Batosaur.
Yeah. Because we have a board game here called Batman Gotham City Chronicles, and it's got 1 million of these characters in it as well.
Maybe one day we just need to read through those and then come back here, act smart.
Like we know what we're talking about.
Like we know what we're talking about with these heroes and do that. Also, sorry, one more thing too, on the Challenger card, I was just looking at it a little bit. Was just cool that you can add even more difficulty to the game. It says here it's made specifically for those who have maybe mastered the game.
Well, that's you.
Or even has just a strong core hero group. Just a powerful duo or trio of heroes. And you're unstoppable. You can add these cards, which are permanent effects during the game and can only be taken down in a certain way but obviously you need to use your actions to do that. You only are so limited, in trying to beat the villain and now trying to go through this challenge. You can add 1, 2, or 3, 3 being the most, but it says that if you feel really brave and you really want, something spicy, you can even add 1 or even a couple of more. So, very excited about the challenge mode, very excited about this entire game found campaign. Thank you. Yeah, blah, I'm so excited I lost my words here. DC Superheroes United, gonna be fantastic. Now we are technically in the fourth season, you could say, of the United game. And, very fun.
Yeah, I mean, and I think these are going to be interlocking, so you could play Batman and Iron Man against Thanos. I mean, you could do that if you want to, it might be sacrilege, but you could do that.
Absolutely.
Just definitely excited, and we've had podcasts in the past, we've been away for a while, just life getting in the way, being busy, but we're definitely committed this time. We want to go a little bit beyond even just our United coverage here. We're excited about that. Ethan will do a lot of his in-depth stuff that he always has when we get the multiverse box, I'm sure, where he's going through some of the heroes and getting a chance to play them and his thoughts. But we also play a lot of other board games. And we want to bring some of that content along. So one of the other things that got us jazzed up about starting this podcast again is in about 3 weeks, we will be back in Indianapolis attending Gen Con.
Back home.
So we're originally from the Indiana area, just north of Indianapolis, and we're going to be going to Gen Con this year, which, if you're not familiar with, is probably the largest gaming convention in North America, probably second largest in the world next to the Spiel in Germany. That's worldwide known for gamers as well. So we're going to be going there. Hopefully we get to see some of this stuff there.
I was just about to say that.
I hope they got some there.
They have They have the CMON booth there.
We're going to stop by for sure. We'll take some pictures. We're going to try and post at least a small episode every night after our Gen Con adventures. They have everything at this place. I mean, anything gaming related, RPGs, games, gaming, equipment, tables, you name it.
They have everything there. And
it's a gigantic convention, 60,000, 70,000 people go.
Yeah.
Some of the collectible card games we play is prominent there. There's always new board games announced and for sale. So we're excited to bring you some coverage. If you're just interested at all, I think we try to make this podcast just like two, obviously we're father and son, but just two folks that love board games, and we want you to feel like, you're sitting at the table with us, and we're just chatting. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun.
So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Gen Con is obviously a big opportunity for everybody to, kind of sink their teeth in if they're new to board games or have played for years like we have. So talking about it and, of course, having coverage as much as we can for this campaign as well, and of course for other games that will be out there. We will have another episode here coming up pretty soon where we'll just talk about maybe some of our favorite Gen Con games, the ones that look very interesting to us. A lot of our answers will be probably very similar just because we both talk about them, offset, but there's going to be a lot of games out there, more popular ones, and maybe ones that might be great that you could buy at a Target or at a Walmart or something like that. So we'll keep you all posted with there. We'll, of course, do amazing reviews and talk about board games and things like that, so what's the right board game for you to choose. And, of course, having fun listening to it. If you already have the game, what other people, hear opinions about. I always love that, And that's really what all sports things are, really, right? You just listen to it. You know what's already happening, but you just like to maybe hear other people's opinions on it. And, well, that's why we're here. We love to talk our opinions and, do things like that. So it's going to be very fun. And, yeah, I think we kind of wrapped everything up, didn't we? I think we did well.
Yep.
And, again, the campaign is on GameFound, DC Superheroes United by CMON. We also, on our next episode as well, or one of our, next episodes that we'll be releasing soon, we will also be talking about if there is enough Marvel United content out there already, or if we're just barely scratching the surface. Well, maybe not scratching the surface. More like 3 inches deep scratching, but,
into the surface.
You know.
There needs to be internal stitches into that surface.
That is true. So, is there enough, or isn't there? Well, you guys tell us, please, on the comments below. Please subscribe to our podcast, Roster United. We will be doing episodes as frequently as possible. And, of course, with that in mind, I am your host, Ethan.
This is Rick.
And we thank you for listening. Have a great day or night wherever you live. Anyway,
Adios.
bye-bye.